This is our 5th time.
I wouldn't have dreamt of what I learned here.
This encourages you and inspires you, and it's so relaxing, and the food is great.
I love Retreat at Sea, and I will do it again.
And you should be here.
Holy Trinity is at work full time here.
Anglican and Catholic leaders are meeting this week, as they have for more than 50 years, for what some are calling an ecumenical roadshow. Join us with the latest from the Eternal City Church Militant's Rome correspondent, Dr. Jules Gomes. Jules, you of all Catholics know pretty much everything there is to know about Anglicanism and how it differs from Catholicism. Before diving into your deep thoughts, though, can you give us, our viewers, a snapshot of this particular news story?
Brad, the Vatican has announced a very high-profile joint mission initiative with the Church of England. And tomorrow at St. Peter's Basilica, Justin Welby, the Archbishop of Canterbury, and Pope Francis will participate jointly in an Anglican service of worship, Anglican evensong. On Thursday, Pope Francis and Justin Welby together will commission 50 bishops from 27 countries around the world who will come in pairs. Anglican Catholic, one pair, Anglican Catholic, a second pair. So there will be 25 pairs of these bishops who will jointly agree to do mission around the world.
Now, this is the week of Catholic prayer for unity. The Anglicans and Catholics have kind of been getting together for this week. This isn't unusual that that's happening as far as collaboration, as far as like 50 years now they've been, futzing around about ecumenical activity anyway. What's on their itinerary, Jules, specifically this year, the things that these leaders are going to be doing? How many, what places are they going to be going to, and what are they going to be actually accomplishing?
Well, this week, it's of course the week of Christian unity, and we have written about that at Church Militant in the past, particularly the Vatican's tendency to invite pro-LGBT liberal Protestant pastors to its pulpits here in Rome, to Catholic pulpits here in Rome. Now, what's going to happen is from the 22nd to the 29th, there will be a summit of Anglican and Catholic leaders, particularly bishops. The first part of the summit will be held in Rome, and the second part will be held at Canterbury in England. So tomorrow, there will be evensong, Anglican evensong at St. Peter's Basilica. I mean, this is historic. And then in the evening, there will be an Anglican Eucharist, service of Holy Communion, Mass, whatever you want to call it, at the Basilica of St. Bartholomew in Rome. And the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, will be preaching at that Eucharistic celebration. In Canterbury, when they meet for the second half, Cardinal Stephen Chow, who is the Bishop of Hong Kong, will fly to lead one of the joint ecumenical services there. We are also talking about how these leaders are going to be visiting various Catholic sites, etc. But the most important event will take place on Thursday at the tomb of St. Paul at Basilica San Paolo. That's St. Paul outside the walls in Rome, which is the 4th papal basilica in Rome. And in this basilica, in this Catholic basilica, at the tomb of St. Paul, Pope Francis will commission these 50 Catholic and Anglican bishops who will come up jointly in pairs from 27 countries around the world, and they will be commissioned to go around the world and do to their own dioceses, presumably, but do mission jointly from this point on.
Now, Jules, when you're talking about offering non-Catholic, Anglican services, Mass, whatever, in these on consecrated altars in Rome, Doesn't that actually, you got people, aren't people going to be scandalized by that type of thing? Some people are going to be thinking the Anglicans, do the same thing that Catholics do in offering sacrifice, which they don't, and having Christ present in the Eucharist, which they don't. His real presence, body, blood, soul, and divinity at Mass. It seems like quite a mass confusion, really, when you're talking about having Anglicans in the same on the same altar that Catholic priests are offering up the Blessed Sacrament, Christ's body, blood, soul, and divinity as a sacrifice, when that's not what happens with the Anglicans, but they're going through the same motions. It seems like it's a huge opportunity for scandal, no?
Well, Brad, this is precisely what happened last year in April, and I reported extensively on this, when Bishop Jonathan Baker and 30 Anglican clergy from the Episcopal area of Fulham came and were given permission to celebrate at the high altar in St. John Lateran, the Basilica of St. John Lateran, which is the papal basilica, where the Pope's cathedral, his throne, is located. And this caused a massive scandal, not just because that they were Anglicans, but because Bishop Jonathan Baker happened to be a Freemason, and because he is divorced and remarried. So, the scandal was huge, but there have also been other scandals. And as I just mentioned, last year, the Vatican invited the Waldensian pastors from Rome in the 12th century or some time around that period. They were condemned by the magisterium at the highest level as heretics. Now, the Waldensians in Rome are so liberal that they have given permission since 2010, official permission for blessing same-sex couples. And then they invited Dr. Daniele Garrone to preach from a Catholic pulpit, and Daniel Garrone believes that Jonathan and David had a homoerotic relationship. So the Bible permits same-sex relationship. And then they also invited Dr. Paolo Ricca, who says homosexuality is not a sin because the biblical authors believed it was a choice. Whereas today, we know homosexuality is not a choice. People are born gay. So this was another aspect that scandalized faithful Catholics in Rome and around Italy hugely.
Yeah, I just had to make sure viewers know a little sarcasm when we say they're born gay. Of course, that's the pun there that being presented by the world today. Well, I think it's a good, ecumenism is good if it's truly ecumenism, meaning the end goal is to have us all truly united and believe in the same truth taught by Christ, which Catholics call the deposit of faith. But is that what's really taking place here, Jules?
And not really, because as we know, Pope Francis has drawn the line very clearly on this, and he's made it clear that, we do not want people to convert from Anglicanism or Lutheranism or other denominations to Catholicism. That would be proselytism. But there are others, theologians, Catholic theologians, the liberal ones, who repeatedly, when you talk about ecumenism, they quote Vatican II's document Unitatis Redingratio, and they say, well, that sort of ecumenism was, pre-Vatican II ecumenism, but with this new document, we don't believe in that old-fashioned kind of ecumenism.
Jules, can you revisit a second, too? I mean, there's the Anglican orders here. It's just like they're being overlooked as if they're valid. Can you catch our viewers up on the history, just the recent history in the last few years, on the push by Anglicans to have the Catholic Church recognize their orders, when actually Pope Leo XIII said their guns don't shoot? And what's going on here in practice now, you're having Anglicans on the altar saying Mass as if that gun does shoot. Can you get our head around this story?
Sure, Brad. Again, I reported on this last year. There was a symposium at the Angelicum in Rome, a very prestigious pontifical university, where both Catholic and Anglican scholars met and issued a 22-page document, I think, approved by a top cardinal that basically said Pope Leo XIII got it wrong, and women's, even though the Church of England now ordains women, that should not be an obstacle to continuing to talk about, the validity of Anglican orders. So this push has been growing all the time, and people I speak to say that, well, even if we can't change what Pope Leo XIII declared magisterially, we can get around that, but just ignoring it and in practice behaving as if it does not exist. And so they talk about, I think it was Pope John Paul II who gave an episcopal ring to Archbishop Runcie. They talk about the kind of gestures that Pope John Paul II, Pope Benedict XVI, and now Pope Francis, through gestures. We've talked about this before, Brad, this subversion through symbols. And therefore, we can all ignore that and live happily ever after.
Well, if you were in charge of the schema for this get-together this week, Jules, and had complete pontifical authority to do so, what things would you be putting on the roster for them to be discussing? What topics should they actually be coming together on and making real progress on? Even if they're going to be, Anglicans and Catholics, you'd think they'd want to converge on the truth. Where are they divided on truth in the faith and in morals?
Well, there has been progress made, to be fair. We must say that, the Anglican Roman Catholic International Commission has produced a number of documents where there are major areas of agreement on justification by faith, on certain aspects of the Eucharist, on order, etc., etc. However, what is of major concern now at this moment is that the Church of England has apostatized in that sense by officially recognizing and authorizing same-sex blessings. In fact, 2 lesbian vicars were the first official recipients of these blessings in December, just before Christmas. I think it was the 17th of December. So for Catholics, converts who want to remain faithful and who have fled away from the Church of England's heresies into the arms of, Rome, and think that they will be protected there, they are now increasingly troubled by things like fiducia supplicans. And instead of what they were hoping is that the Church of Rome will draw a straight line and say, okay, the Church of England did cross the line when it comes to women's ordination. Now it's gone even further and crossed the Rubicon when it comes to homosexuality. We are cutting off all ecumenical ties, or if we meet, this is going to be an item on the agenda. And sadly, that is not happening, because now Rome itself is capitulating to the pansexual LGBTQ agenda.
Yeah, at least in practice, so many are being allowed across the Europe and other areas to go ahead and just carte blanche bless whatever, gay couples come walking up with whatever ceremonies they really choose, even though Rome is saying there's not supposed to be a liturgical ceremony involved whatsoever. Why, Jules, are they glad-handing so much with the Anglicans, who seem to be so far out on Catholic sexual morality and the faith regarding, women's ordinations? Why not, host the evangelicals, who seem to be at least closer to the gospel truth on, sexual morality anyway?
Brad, it's because Rome has become as wishy-washy as Canterbury. And they don't want to be upset by, the evangelicals who will, bring hardcore biblical truth in terms of evangelization. For example, in Rome, evangelicals are actively evangelizing Muslim immigrants, which upsets the liberal Catholics who say, oh, well, all roads lead to heaven. Secondly, the evangelicals are rock solid on biblical morality with regards to sexuality, whereas fiducia supplicans, seems to have opened the door to a kind of free-for-all in that area. But more importantly, let me quote from my friend, Dr. David Virtue, who's been a pioneer in Anglican journalism for the last 40 years. And he's run this website, Virtue Online, that has fought the war against homosexuality and women's ordination in the Church of England. And this is what Dr. Virtue had to say. He says that this new initiative, joint initiative between Pope Francis and Justin Welby, is a study in uselessness and a complete waste of time and money. These ecumenical roadshows do not advance the gospel. This Western-based effort can be safely ignored by the global South, by which he means Africa, Asia, and Latin America, who see little or no value in such joint missions. Joint mission will not slow the decline of Western Christianity and will not make the global South rise up and sing the Hallelujah chorus. A joint mission is pure theater and ready for TikTok, especially the dress-up part, Dr. Virtue says.
Yeah, those are some straight up hard truths right there. Such learned men, really, getting together this whole week. Catholics and Anglicans, really learned men who have access to all the truth about the Catholic faith at their disposal. Can there be any excuse on Judgment Day for them if, on the one side, Catholics don't present the entire unvarnished truth to the Anglican community? Or on the other, if the Anglicans don't accept Christ's teachings in their complete, unvarnished entirety? Please pray for unity, true unity, where we all truly become united under one Christ, who is priest, prophet, and king, one Redeemer, who taught one deposit of faith and set up only one church. Jules, thank you so much for bringing in all of the nuance on this multifaceted story for us.
Thank you, Brad.
Thanks again for watching today's episode of Rome Dispatch. This show is brought to you by donors like Real Estate for Life. If you're looking to buy or sell a home and want to support our mission, visit realestateforlife.org. Again, that's realestateforlife.org. Be sure to tell them Church Militant sent you. God bless.